Out there.
AI Smoke Triple Diamond. It's a 10.5 head. It's turned down to 9.5 at the moment. I usually played at 10.5 just for spin, but I've just been messing around with 9.5. VF 8X. It's tipped a quarter.
Tipped a quarter.
And it's a quarter under, so it's 45 and a quarter, I believe.
Well, and it's 45?
45 and a quarter.
45 and a quarter to the butt cap?
I don't like longer shafts. They feel out of control. I used to actually play 44 and 3/4, but I realized half an inch is about 2 miles an hour club head speed for me. Lost just because it's not as long.
Wow.
Yeah. So I figured I'd suck it up. Still not 45 and a half. That's too long, but.
Now, Rich, as you know, we don't really fit to swing weight.
Yeah.
It kind of is going to be what it's going to be.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
But at the same time, there's a dynamic there that I like to look at, specifically when I have a player like you that's 8X, right? You swing a lot of static weight. So we're going to try a few of the different shafts as well. I'm going to jack with your weight a little bit here in a minute, kind of give you that stress test, right? We're going to see kind of how your move reacts to that.
Yeah.
All right. The heart behind that is we fit to the dynamic, right? We fit to your move. So my only rule in here is kind of you got to do it your way, right? So every single time I want it your way. If I give you anything that gets outside of your way, if you feel like it's heavy, light, anything, call it out to me. Because we'll also be changing those head weights a little bit for you. It'll feel a little bit different than what you have. Anything crazy out of this one the last couple rounds? I know you kind of talked about.
Yeah, I feel like it's mostly been me, but there has been an issue. It's why I went from 10.5 back to 9. Just balls that launch straight up off the face, like just coming out way too high. Like I've always been a pretty high launch guy, like around 14 or so. And I went to 10.5 because it gets me steeper on the ball because I actually swing really up on it, like 5 or 6 up usually. So I went 10.5 just so it would get me down more. And that's changed a little bit, but the only thing I've seen really with this head is going left when I want it to cut. That's been the main performance issue.
So it's when you say left, is it moving left or is it kind of tuggy off the
Starting left and not really moving left.
Okay.
Or not moving right, sorry.
Yeah, it's not cutting.
Yeah.
Just kind of stays there.
Which I like a shaft that feels like it's going to go one way when I want it to go one way.
Okay.
Because I can always make it, I can make it draw. Now whether or not it's going to be controlled spinny draw is different. If it's a divey draw, that's one thing. But I like a shaft because my predominant shot's a cut. I'm most comfortable playing a cut. So I like a shaft that feels like when I want it to cut, it's not going left.
We just don't want that higher window.
Yeah, I don't really like the ball going high unless I want it to go high. I can always make it go up, but getting down's hard for me because, like I said, I swing so up on the ball. Like if I really try to get steep, the steepest I can get is like 2 up. Yeah, so that's why I like a lower flying shot pattern. And I just went to 10.5 for spin, and that's why I went heavier. I used to be at like DC9, D1, D0, and I just went heavier to keep the spin down off the 10.5.
So 45 and a quarter, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Which I'm pretty adaptive, so it's not going to mess with me a whole lot if we shimmy around weight half an inch or so. But
I'm just curious. I mean, would you say that you can feel swing weight changes? Or are you more of just a static weight guy?
I'm not entirely sure.
We'll find out. We'll find out. Cool. We'll hit a couple shots here. We'll just get a baseline, right? You know the routine. But we'll get a baseline, see kind of what we're looking at. I will tell you, dude, I got my work cut out for me to beat AI Smoke. That driver's sick.
Low. On the face, at least.
Heel side.
Yeah, probably just low in the face.
Low in the face, 320. I hate you.
Which I don't mind a spinnier miss.
Okay.
Stays in play. Same thing.
All right, from a swing perspective, I just want to hear your perspective. You know, I always kind of circle you here, but what do you feel in those situations? Path's pretty good.
In terms of what?
Like from a swing dynamic, if you hit this, I'm not going to say this is per se a miss. I mean, on the golf course, this is decent, right? But when you kind of see that low in the face miss or that tuggy miss, right, that you talked about a minute ago, what is it from a swing perspective that you felt there? Anything?
If anything, it's just like kinematic sequence timing. I know that's like a big word, but just like the time that I'm using the ground to fire, right? That's what's really going to throw it off. And there's a little bit of where the shaft's coming down, right? Like I like to feel on top of it. And I can feel whenever like this angle turns into that coming down. Yeah. And then there's like, I may not look athletic, but I am pretty athletic. So I react to a lot of little stuff a lot. So like a lot of movements can throw me off and I can feel it like as soon as it happens. So I'll do a lot of flip saving or, you know, just altering my body just a little bit to what I'm feeling throughout my swing, even though I'm not trying to. It just kind of naturally happens.
Yeah, you're freaky with the hands. Yeah. You can save a lot of stuff. I'm just curious, like in my brain, right? I'm going, okay, well, we've got to have some kind of connective thing, right?
Yes.
You know, from that takeaway position. That was better. Yeah. So what I noticed, and I'm just going to tell you, you know, I think you're recreating that firing position when we get into a lift dynamic, taking the club away, right? If you stay in the pocket the entire time, right? We have a pretty good impact position. That's the shot window that we want, right? Yeah. 356, that's insane. But can you cut it from there?
Yes.
Right? So I think you're able to do all the things as long as we're connected in that takeaway. That's interesting to me because I'm wondering if weight would help that or hurt that.
I've always found that weight for me is a little nicer because, especially with like putting too, but also in the swing, because I feel like I have control over it. If clubs get too light, yes, they're easier to move and stuff, but the weight, I feel like I can put more input into it because I can feel what's happening. It's kind of like if you have like, I don't know, like a crappy pin and you're riding with it, it's kind of all over the place. But if you have a heavy pin, even though you're putting a lot more effort into using it, you can control it a lot better because you can feel where it's at. If that makes any sense at all. Or like chipping with a heavier wedge, I feel like I have a lot more control because I can put more inputs into it to make it go where I want to, if that makes sense. Yeah. Light just feels out of control to me most of the time, especially putting.
I mean, so there's something I observed when I circled around here on that shot that we hit kind of low groove, maybe heel side of pinch. Yeah. I can tell you in the first foot if it's going to be good or not. That's interesting, man. When I came over here, the first thing I observed, Rich, was if we're here early, right? So if we're in a lift position early, trying to get width, what I'm seeing is, man, in that first foot, if we get it here, we're activated, right?
No, you're right. Yeah.
If we're kind of in that lower position, so I think I agree with where you're at here on your static weight of the shaft. That's interesting as crap to me, especially for a better player. You know, okay, is 8 too much? Maybe that's what causes the early up. I mean, I think that's what we have to explore here. So I'm going to give you my first driver here that we're going to hit. I'm going to go apples to apples with the shaft. I'm going to bring the static down So what that should do here, and well, you know what? I'm just going to ask you. I don't want to give you any answers. Hold that one on the grip as well. Tell me if we feel any swing weight differential here when I hand you this one. First driver out of the rip here, I'm going to give you the GT2 9 degree with the 7X VF versus this 8. I just want to know, is there any polarity changes here as far as the head, right? What do you feel here?
The tip section on the shaft actually almost feels heavier, but like the toe section of the head feels lighter.
Interesting. Okay.
And you are right. Like my takeaway really does kind of decide what's going to happen in my swing.
For sure.
For me, it's whenever I get under and like internal, things get bad. I like to keep the head outside the hands or external for as long as possible.
Yeah. I mean, I can see it in the first foot, dude. It's in that first foot.
It's just really,
I can tell you it's going to be great or not.
the way I load my wrist is really what kind of determines how I'm going to hit the ball.
That's interesting, man. That's so cool.
Whoa. So swinging it, there's a lot less there in terms of like I don't feel as much when it's going back. Like definitely feels lighter in the swing.
Okay. Wait, in totality or head side or both? Right?
Probably.
When I say totality, I'm saying the whole thing. And then do we feel any additional head weight or is it about the same?
No, if less head weight.
Less head
It
weight.
almost
Got it.
feels like.
Got it. That looked a little spinny to me.
It might have been. And yeah, you can get a ton of distance launching it high and spinning it low, like under 2,000, but I like to hover around 22, 23.
22, 23?
That would be ideal for me because
I don't disagree with that.
spinny miss is like 27, stays in play. A draw is just under 2,000, so it's not divey.
Maybe a little more draw on this because I know that grip's a little smaller, but I don't know, man. That tip to quarter, I think, is a big deal too. Are you feeling the additional flex there?
Dude, I think it's because since it feels lighter in the head, it feels like there's less flex, if that makes sense. I can't feel the flex as much because there's not as much weight on the end of the flex to make me feel it. Sorry if that's like a brain killer, but
it's not at all. You also said something interesting, and we're seeing these a little more left shot here. You said less weight in the toe.
yeah, I don't feel near as much perimeter
Yeah.
on this one as I do
so,
smoke.
Okay. Hold that thought. Hold that thought.
You want me to hit one more?
Yeah, go ahead.
Just to get the speed up.
But I want you to. Holy crap. Okay, let me see that real quick. I'm going to give you apples to apples real fast. Yeah, that's fascinating to me. Wow. Okay.
I'm trying my best to keep the same swing the whole time.
Yeah, no.
None of the psychotic swing changing just because I hit one bad one. I'm trying hard.
Look, you're unique because you can change it on the fly, right? Like, we're all cognizant of that. But yeah, there's something interesting to me, man. I think you're really onto something with your static over here. But I also think there's a head thing here. This is interesting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the GT3 at neutral. I want to see if that same absence of weight exists in the toe with the apples to apples feel here, right? Because that's fascinating to me. And, not for nothing, with the 3, we could move that weight toe side. We can move that weight toe side to maybe help with that. Yeah, the other thought process would be, okay, the true apples to apples head, if you were to look at the book, it would be Callaway Triple Diamond versus GT4 maybe. But dude, I'm gonna tell you something, and you know me, I do not want to ever create bias in a fitting, but I'm gonna create a little bias probably, dude. This GT series, generational technology is what Titleist is kind of calling, which I think is brilliant, by the way. But what they've done here, I think, is really catered to players like yourself. I think if you have very sensitive feel elements, right, which you do, I think this GT3 and 4 series in particular could be pretty special, right? These polymers, the polymer that they're using as opposed to, get rid of titanium was kind of the challenge that they had, I think 7 years ago is what Todd was telling us. The engineers were given the task of, hey, you got to figure out a way to change the titanium game. So it's interesting. I'm really interested to see what your feel element is here. Okay, do you need yours again, just a reminder? Okay. There's the 3.
Yeah.
Is that better toe side?
Yeah.
At neutral?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, a lot more.
Isn't that crazy?
A lot more feedback.
We should see a lot less left here. Maybe.
Holy, yeah. That's going to take like 1 or 2 to get used to.
Well, I was just about to say that, Rich. I mean, I'm confusing you on purpose, right? I'm giving you different feel elements on purpose. And that's exactly what we should see in a transitional swing. I call those transitionals, but look at ball speed was up, efficiency was really good, right? Let's see what happens here. That's interesting. Look at that.
Lower.
Holy cow. I'm with you. I think maybe that window's just a skosh lower than what you're acclimated to seeing, but good result. Yeah, 11.2. Like the spin values, though. That's on par.
Yeah. Toe.
Look at that miss, though. This is what I'm talking about with this series, bro. I mean, again, I don't want to create any bias, and by the way, I really need you to buy one of these, right? And I'll tell you why. I've got like 100 of these things coming. We did our book yesterday. I just went crazy on it. The reason why I think it's the best driver series maybe ever. And that's a bold statement.
It's probably the best swing I've put on it.
Yeah. You see what I'm saying? Look at this, bro.
That's the launch I'm more accustomed to.
353. I tell you the one
Was
I
that
liked
over 2? Yeah. Okay.
was that toe banger. Hey, Connor, do me a favor. Go back to that screen real quick. Rich, I know you know all of this, right? As a better player. No, go to the club screen for me. Yeah, thanks. I know you know this as a better player, but obviously, folks at home, right? I kind of want everybody to understand what it is we do, why we do it this way. I think everybody gets stuck on numbers, right? One of the things you talked about was a window. Well, the window's important. The spin number, it's important. The efficiency, the ball speed, okay, all that's important. But what are these club companies doing? They're telling us a story for the last however many years about ball speed, ball speed, ball speed, ball speed. Well, the Titleist ball speed, trust me, it's going to be there, right? But here's where I'm more centrally focused. And let's dive into this for 1 second. Because with yours, we had that 8X, right? That's number one. We had it tipped a quarter. If I'm watching anything here And I'm I'm just saying, okay, I'm getting picky. There's a little bit of adjustment with impact for this flex change here. You're feeling that right away. So when you get to the top of the set, our transition looks great. It's at impact that you're making the adjustment. I know you're feeling that. But I also have proof, which is this screen. So upward attack 5.5. I'm wondering which one's the real us, right? On the attack side. You know, you said if you really try, 2.2 is about as good as it's going to get, right? So I like the fact that we're in this shallower position. Why? You're a tall guy that creates a shallow position. That's a rarity in the sport. And the second thing that it does is it creates a much lower spin value. But here's my question, and here's what we watch from a fitting perspective, bro. This is the most important screen. Any fitter out there that wants to argue it, let's go, right? What is it that we do as a player? What is our dynamic? So I want you to pretend like you're standing right here, right? This is the path, right? This is your club path. This is the path as we enter into the zone for impact, right? It's pretty neutral, dude. I mean, you've always been kind of a 0-0 guy, but as you said, if we're going to get in trouble, it's going to be more from that inside position, right? It's where we're just in that stuck position. You could probably get it as outside as you want it, and it'll be fine. But this inside position is an interesting position for me.
Well, that's not even bad. I don't worry about into out unless we're getting to like 2.
I'm glad to hear you say that. It doesn't matter what the number is, right?
Yeah.
As long as it's a repeatable number, right? So I think as a crow flies, your stock move, right? That little cutter that you hit, that's going to be from a neutral to maybe a slightly outside position, like a 0.1 outside position, right? That's kind of what we've seen in your data. But the biggest thing is this release dynamic, right? Where are we going to get it released? And this is where you're special versus other people, right? Is you're able to manipulate that a little bit at impact. But the other thing is we almost have this linear concept, right? We're slightly outside. That ball stayed just a skosh right of the line. But that's also the kind of shot we were trying to hit, right? We're trying to hit that cut. So from an inside position, it's got to be more outside the path line, because that's what's going to create that cut.
Yeah.
Right? That's what's going to create that right shot. Upward attack is absolutely beautiful there. This data here is awesome. It's really cool. But it's dictated by that. So, we can talk about that if you want, but it doesn't really matter. Connor, go ahead and give me the table real quick. And so just for funsies, go to club, Connor, please. No. Table, club tab. Yeah, my bad. Okay. We're missing a couple things, and I don't know. We probably need to add another dot in the middle of the head there, but
yeah, that wasn't 112.
Yeah.
It's gonna be about 117.
We'll add that dot in the middle on here.
That's not an issue. I know what I swing.
Scroll up, Connor. Yeah. See with that 8, we kind of hold that path.
Yeah. That's
right?
really
that
consistent.
8X.
Yeah, that's nice.
Go back down, Connor. I'm not saying this is bad because for you, it's so close.
Yeah, this is...
But if we have those variances, and this is more just educational, right? But if we have variance here, we're left asking, okay, what's the real you, right? If we have one that's outside, one that's inside, one that's outside, inside, and we're not meaning to do that, right? We have a problem. I don't know, man. I still think if I'm making a prediction here, Clinton's going to put a dot on there for you. The dot right in the middle on the top there. Yeah. I don't know, man. I still think it's 8X. I really think you're onto something there. And do you know how many times I've ever said that in a fitting?
Well,
maybe once in my whole
I
career.
had the GP, right?
Yeah.
Granted, it was shorter. It was 44 3/4.
You can go ahead and put it back.
It was a 6X, and the swing weight on that was, I think, it was light. It was like C8 or C9. And that...
What length was that?
44 3/4. quarters.
Yeah, okay.
And it just wasn't spinning enough.
Yeah.
I had to go at it to create enough spin, which I've always been kind of a lower spin creator. But
Would you say you went to the X or the 8 for more of the flex profile though? Because maybe it wasn't quite stiff enough, or
no, it wasn't anything like that. It was
Okay.
predominantly for more weight, more spin. Because
just to hold the
I've always found that lighter for me spins less.
Okay. Get you more shallow.
Probably, or just, I'm not entirely sure why. I'm pretty confident that it's correct.
No, I'm with you, man. I think it's correct, and you know how I am with better players, dude. This is definitely a team effort. Like, I want you to be able to tell me. And some better players say, dude, I don't care, just give me something, let me hit it. I'll let you know. I think for you have a great mixture of knowledge of how this stuff works, right? But also knowledge of what your pocket needs to feel like. I don't know if you're aware of this, but I always call it the pocket because the slot I think has just been used so much. The pocket kind of says, okay, well, what? We all have our own spot that we have to be. And by the way, I would say for the vast majority of people, that's going to be that's going to be based on where that takeaway goes. That first foot and a half. And dude, I'm telling you, I'm standing right here. And if you want, I'll start doing it. But I can tell you within a foot where that ball's going to go. It's so cool with you.
Takeaway is really important for me. Like I said, it kind of sets my wrist angle where it's going to be. But then, like, the most important part for me for shaft feel is transition. How much is this going to lag or deflection, whatever the term is.
That one's feeling a little weak, though, isn't it?
I'd have to have another
Relative to
one.
your other one?
It's been a minute. Let me hit another one.
Gotta be. I don't know. Maybe it's not, but. Yeah, it's on the button.
It feels pretty straight. Like, I don't feel a whole lot, which isn't bad because that's just anti-left for me, which is good. So if I'm not feeling a whole lot of drop or shaft lag, whatever you want to call it, if I'm not feeling a whole lot of that, that's pretty nice for me.
Do you think it's even possible that we could, there's 117, that was right. Okay. We just need the dot in the middle. Let me ask, dude. Is it even possible for us to get it too stiff?
Not in terms of feel, no. But in terms of like spin, yeah. Which I know, like a big misconception is stiffer shafts spin less. That's not always right, especially for me, because
I think it'll get you steeper.
yeah, it's just like this. I've always found that like stiffer tips make me launch it higher, just because it gets me more under it. So I don't.
That's based on the feel. You can't feel that, so you're going to go under. You're not. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. If it's too stiff up here and you can't feel that in the transition, you're still going to get in the pocket, but you're gonna get more. You're gonna get more in this spot to go down because you didn't feel it flex, as opposed to when you feel it load, you're like, okay, now I'm good. You can hit that.
That's exactly
zone.
Like the stiffer it feels up top, or tip section wise.
Yeah.
If I don't feel any drop, it does make me kind of release it earlier, which is where I'm creating so much more launch.
Yeah.
Whereas like if it loads a little bit, it's all good.
I love it. Did you glue us an 8X? Man, I just think we're gonna need it. I'll tell you what I'm curious about, dude. Let me ask you this, bro. Have you messed with Ventus at all in the heavier weights?
Not heavier. Heaviest I've ever gone, with driver at least, right? Like my 7-wood's an 8X. But driver, the heaviest I've ever gone, I played a 6S black, I've played a 6X black, played a 6X blue TR, and I did try the Ventus Plus for like 2 days.
Which one?
The black
one?
Black Plus, yeah.
But it was 6X.
S.
6S.
Yeah, the X just feels.
Like a pole?
Not necessarily feel. It's just the spin so much. Like me and Clinton did a thing, like the blue, the red, and the black one, the new pluses. And with a 9-degree smoke, I couldn't even get the red above 2000. 6S.
Yeah, but I think that makes sense based on what we're talking about here. You know what I'm saying? Like, if we boarded that up a little bit, or at least brought the static weight up, I think it'd be fascinating where we'd get that one. I think it'd put you in that steeper position as opposed to the shallower position.
Maybe
right?
so.
The lighter it goes, the more. You know what it is? The more the athleticism kicks in, and I know this sounds funky, right? It's kind of a scary thing to say, but it would almost put you in more of a help positioning or a guide positioning, because we're not feeling all the elements that we need to feel throughout the move, right? So your first foot and a half, okay, you can get in the right spot so long as the head weight feels in the right spot. We saw earlier with GT2 what happened. Why? Well, we can't get it into the first foot and a half. We can't really get it in position.
I can't feel the face either throughout the swing. That's why I like so much weight in the toe. It gives me more face control. I can tell where the face is pointing. It's kind of saying like more weight gives me more feedback throughout the swing. I can tell where stuff is because you can feel it legitimately more because it's heavier.
Yeah.
So you can actually tell where it is. And so like the heavier toe kind of gives me a really good idea of where my face is pointed.
Dude, that makes so much sense. Now, here's my other question too, Rich, because, okay, you mentioned GP earlier. You know how I feel about the GP shaft. I mean, it was one of the best shafts ever. The VF was brought out by Graphic Design to be a similar fit to the GP. It was kind of the GP replacement. I think the VF's a little weaker.
Yeah.
Is that what you feel?
Maybe because I didn't tip it enough, but it definitely feels beefier in terms of launch and spin.
It feels beefier in terms of launch and spin than GP did.
VF feels weaker.
Yeah, okay. That's what I was asking.
But probably for me, that's going to launch lower and spin less because, so that's probably why it feels or performs a little lower launching, lower spin.
Connor, we're saying the same thing, right? Yeah. Okay.
It's what beefier means, lower, lower.
Yeah. Okay, you're saying how it's going to correlate numbers-wise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
it's interesting to me. I just think the VF has a little more.
It feels more fluid.
Yeah. Gives you a little bit more of that at the top, right? That little load profile at the top. You could probably feel that a little more with VF. I'll be honest, though, I still think this one here, I'm almost like, I like your transitions a little better with 8. I think what's interesting here is the weight dynamics. So here's what I want to do. I'm gonna click this one up real quick, and we're gonna get Clinton to get us a swing weight on this.
Okay.
And see what that. I'm just curious now. And again, it's not the heart of that is not to fit to swing weight. It's to say, wait a minute, is there any correlation here that we can point out? You know, the grip's a little smaller. You know, we're losing a little weight there. He's got the mid-size Tour Velvet, right? So we're losing almost 2 points from that to this. Yeah, that'd be awesome. I don't know. Did you tip that 8X? Yeah. He's always on it, isn't he? All right.
Which one's that?
Okay, so here's what I'm doing. I'm just going for the jug here, man. Hey, listen, I think it's GT3 right now. The head, oh man, I just love the positions you're getting it into. What I'm going with here is I'm going with the GT shaft, okay? The Diamante GT. I'm going up to 70X in this sucker, which, you know what? I'd have to look that up, Rich. I want to say 75, 76 is the true static there.
Okay.
This is just at standard length. So this is, I think, 45 and a half. Could be 45 and a Q, but 45 and a quarter. The interesting thing about GT4, as you know, we got more weight forward. This driver, you should feel a little more toe weight. I'm curious, though, do we feel as much as the GT3?
Okay.
Do we feel more? Connor, this is an interesting little setup here. Little adjustment swing, little different shaft. My prediction is we'll see him having to play more hold-off stuff because we're just a little weaker in the handle here than that VF. It's interesting, man. He's super cool.
Huh.
That's interesting.
I didn't feel like that.
Talk to me.
Weaker tip. I could really feel the tip section release through the ball there.
Yeah. My question is that coming from the hands?
I'm not entirely sure.
Right? Or is that the weight dynamic of the head?
As far as toe weight goes, I definitely cannot feel it as much with this as the 3.
So I think that's what makes the 3 special. I think that's what's made the 3 special year after year after year. The neutrality of that head, or almost a bias to the toe side, is such a good thing. I think that's why it's always been such a straight hitting driver. This driver here, I think Titleist did a phenomenal job of toning it down. For everybody, what's interesting is we can get this one released. The old 4 was almost impossible to hit, man. It was just hard to hit.
The
shaft is terrible.
I don't know if it's necessarily shaft. It's just the lack of perimeter weight on the head. I can't tell where the face is pointed.
So what you're saying is with the 4, with all that weight being more here,
it's definitely in the middle.
Forward, and you're not feeling near as much perimeter weight.
I think that's why I said the tip section felt weaker, is because the first one I kind of hit it off the middle, and since the weight was so much in the center, it felt so weak.
Yeah.
There wasn't hardly any feedback because it came right out of the middle. And I think that's because there's more head weight right behind the middle of the face.
Isn't that cool? So I have a buddy of mine. His name's Jeff Kramer. When we were hitting fairway woods, this is one of the first times I was ever privy to this. I tell people this all the time in here, guys. If as a fitter, if you're not continually learning from great players and listening to them and getting that feedback and really learning something every day from them, dude, you're missing out. You got to listen to the players. You got to correlate these things. It's super fascinating. But, Jeff could feel when I moved this weight, when I changed this weight, in the 3 series, we were hitting fairways that day, but when we changed that weight, and by the way, he's a great comparison to you. He's a 9X guy in the fairway wood, right? But when I changed the weight, he was like, bro, what'd you do to this thing? I changed it by 2 grams. And I think this is so important. I think everybody needs to hear this. What we're talking about, mate, you may be sitting there going, dude, I can't feel where the head is. You'll be surprised. If we change the dynamics, you'll be surprised, right? This is why I so wanted to do this fitting with you, is because I think it's incredible how you can feel where these head dynamics, the weight dynamics of the heads change. And for anybody that's watching this fitting, right, because we are recording it, you'll be shocked how many times we find 2 to 4 grams makes all the difference in the world. What Rich is saying is relative to the GT3, there's not as much perimeter weighting in the GT4. Now, what's the GT4 made for? Well, you can see it's lower launching with a lot less spin, but without the perimeter weighting, right? Without the help of the heel and the toe weight, we're going to struggle to keep that club square through the entirety of the swing for you, because it's more of a 1-to-1 action, right? If you're struggling with a slice, is GT4 your club? Probably not, right?
Probably not.
But if you're a really high ball hitter, high spin guy, should you run from GT4? Heck no. The door's open to a lot more players with this club now, right? But for Rich, we've got to feel togetherness through the head. I don't want to just The GT series, Titleist, okay, it's great. I'm not wanting to sit here and just crap on the head that you have, man. That Trippy D is awesome. But I think what Callaway really did a good job of is they got the weight forward, but they also gave you that perimeter weight feel, right? I think GT3 is ahead. I just think we're going to have too many issues with the 2.
Yeah.
You know, we saw that we had the absence of toe weight. By the way, that's exactly right? They wanted to put a little more weight in the heel. That's going to help that player that tends to slice the ball have a little bit more forgiveness, a little bit more of the ability to keep it square on line by removing toe weight and focusing it more on that heel side, right? That's going to help the heel slow down, close the toe. D5.5 is what we were swinging this one right here. Wow. Yeah. Let me think about that for a second.
So I get a
the
couple of mine real quick.
Yes. The 7X.
With a smaller grip.
7X with the smaller grip was D5. What length was it? 45.5? Yeah. So the quarter, that's 2 of them. Yeah, so that maths. The grip and the quarter-inch diffie, that maths. And then, okay. Yeah, I think he's a D2 to like D4 guy, but again, I mean, if it ended up being D8, whatever, but. Really interesting. I mean, I guess there is that theory that, I mean, that 7 from a dispersion perspective was pretty good. I don't know. I'm just not convinced it doesn't need to be tipped to half. You know, and listen, I think just talking out loud here while he's hitting his, you know, I think we could almost go. By the way, this happens all the time. I sit here and talk to myself like a psychopath. What's interesting is we could go. You almost could go 7X if you tipped it a half, maybe 3/4 of an inch, stiffened it up just a pinch, put the mid-size on, we would fall in the same swing weight category. And it would free him up a little bit through the zone. It's interesting. You know,
This one definitely on the bottom third, right? Like mid bottom. The bottom third definitely feels lighter, which I like. I like lighter at the bottom, but I don't like to sacrifice the head weight.
yeah. Dude,
Which I like.
I think that's one of the most important things for you. That's why I'm sitting here talking to myself. I don't know, man. I think if you had like a point, maybe 1.5 more weight towards the head side, which would what I'm saying is 1.5 swing weight higher. I think it'd be really interesting, man. I think you'd be so free in that swing. And, you know, as we've been talking, Rich, I mean, listen, what the camera didn't see, right? What the people haven't heard. You and I had a great conversation just the other day. This is what spurred all of this. Well, that and the GT series is here. But what were you saying the other day about what you've been seeing outside with your driver? You know, we had that tournament, dude. I mean, we were.
It's two-way.
What were you, like 8 under or something? It's crazy. What were you?
7 with 2 to play.
7 with 2 to play, baby. And then you were talking about the driver.
Yeah.
I said, bro, I was just struggling with my driver. Should have won that event. Let's just say it out loud. Probably should have won that event. What? Probably should have won that event. But we just had a little bit of struggle with the driver. When I hear 2 ways, I got to be honest, I got to start questioning what we've got going. That doesn't mean that the 8X is wrong. But do you see where I'm going with that? I mean, it's almost like 7X just beefed up a little bit and hitting the proper number with the length specification to where we still have our head weight feel. We don't lose that weight. And I think that's really what's been happening, Rich. I think you've probably gravitated to 8X to get that weight, to get that feel in the head. Like, I want that guy, you know, where it's just free. And if we turn it over, okay, cool. If we want to hit the little buttercut, okay, cool. What I don't want is any guide positioning, dude.
Yeah.
You know, you're in a golf tournament. We can't be sitting there thinking about what's my driver swing doing, right? It should be bang, first 12 inches, we're in position, let's go. You know? I just want it more free. Like that's what I want. I'm excited to try this one now. Okay, so here's what we've done. Clinton already kind of told everybody, but basically we have the VF8X in the 3. Now, you know what my first question's gonna be. Did we affect any of that head weight that you loved a minute ago by doing what we just did? Can we still feel it in the toe? Is the head weight still relevant here? Can we still feel it? First impression before you hit it. Can you feel it still?
Not near as much.
Crap. Not what I wanted.
But it feels pretty good.
Hey, man, I think as long as that toe weight's there, you're going to be fine. 340 little cut. I love it. Didn't cut much, did it? Yeah, 13 RPMs of right spin. You see there a 24.49. We're at the high end of your range, but that was 11.2, so I'm not too upset. That's that shot that I have a real problem with, man.
I don't like that either. And I can feel that I'm going to do it as soon as I take it back.
Why? Why? What is it? I got to know. What is it?
It's hand rotation, getting like where the pressure of my left thumb is putting on the grip.
Uh-huh.
If it gets on the left side, right, and takes it like that, I can feel it's going to go right immediately. But if I keep it on top, it's a lot better.
So in your brain, that's not really a shaft dynamic thing.
No, it's mostly me.
Is that a grip thing?
Yeah, probably.
Could we go from mid-size and do wraps? Or is that going to make your grip feel too hard? Like,
I don't know.
I just think that's interesting, man.
Let me focus up on one.
Yeah, let's see it. So right here, you're just going to go the anti-left ball.
Not
Never
so much
going left.
anti-left, just never go left, but never go too far right. Except with that. Let me hit a couple more. I'm really slow to blame it on the club. If that makes sense. I don't want to immediately say it's the club.
Well, yeah, you're a better player, but there's only one thing that's changed, Rich. There's only one thing that's changed, bro.
Wasn't in the zone.
Yeah.
Classic.
We'll blame Connor for that. Hang on. I've got a dot on my thumb here.
Okay.
Is there a dot on that head?
Yeah, there's plenty.
Oh, okay. I don't know where this dot on my thumb came from, but. Yeah, I like that miss. That's just the old toe banger nose diver that goes 360. Dude, I'm going to tell you what, man. I think you have a little inverse feel as well. I mean, when I gave you the GT, you said it felt a little, you could feel the activation of the tip section. I think that's coming more from hand side. I don't know, bro. I'm just telling you. I think it's 7X. That's where my head is. I don't hate the VF profile. I just think it's got to be beefed up a little bit.
Okay.
you know. It's not you, Rich. Do you see what I'm saying? Dude, listen, this 8, this never happened with the 7. But the 8, I'm telling you, bro, it's not here. I think it's that transitional feel that you talked about earlier.
That one was definitely.
You know what I'm saying?
I felt that immediately.
Yeah, your positions look right on the takeaway to me. I love where the hands are. I just think it's that transitional zone. And I don't know. I mean, like that right there. I mean, you're such a great athlete. You're going to be able to make good swings. But that's just kind of a ho-hum 340 guy. You know, you're a 360 guy. Toe.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, here, okay, so here's where I'm at.
I guess, where are you at?
Where I'm at is this right here, I think is real close, bro.
Is that 7?
Yep. I think this puts more emphasis on that head weight feel that you need. Here's what I think. I think the 8X, I think it sucks that weight up out of the head.
Okay.
And I think you still need that very specific head weight feel. I think you got to be able to feel the whole thing, man. And I think when we go to 8, listen, you can handle it. Your positions are fine. But I'm seeing two ways. I'm seeing these random toe bangs. I don't think it's you, bro. I really don't. Well, listen, it is you. It's always us, right? It's always us that makes the swing. But my job is what? Why?
Yeah.
Why am I seeing your efficiency drop? Why am I seeing random spin numbers, right? I'm not really seeing these huge path changes because you're an athlete. You can get it back online. But why are we not seeing the flex profile we want to see? Why are we seeing the toe bang that goes 360, but it's just kind of falling out of the air? And then we see the random right miss, and then it's not really a huge miss, but it's not exactly on the target. It starts right and moves right. Then we see that left, that little pull shot. It's not really super hooky. I mean, you can play it. But listen, if we're looking up the left side, we got bunks left, and we're going to try to peel one off the bunk, it's 50-50.
That's how it's been.
You know, yeah, it's 50-50. So, yeah, I'm just thinking, take the 7X, beef it up to the point where the flex profile is closer to the 8X, right? Let's play with this grip a little bit. I'm thinking like 3-4 wraps on a Valvey standard as opposed to the mid-size. That way we can make sure that those hand positions are always the same. It's always right. And I think it's GT3. And listen, I'm even thinking TR Blue 7X. That's coming. I'm even thinking UB 7X. That's on the way. You know, those are the things I'm thinking. And I'll tell you what. I think if we can just sure up, make sure that tip section's shored up enough, and that we don't create too much flex in that midsection, man. Because if we get the midsection of the shaft just loading too much, we're going to have an issue. That's why UB keeps coming into my brain, bro. It's a little bit stiffer in that midsection. Have you ever hit that shaft?
No.
I just think it's interesting as crap, man. You know, it's where my head is. So anyway, that's what we're doing. Let me show you this one.
Show me.
Let me show you this one. I mean, I'm going to go right back to this bad boy right here. I'm excited for you because I think this is going to be, I think right away, I'm going to hand you this VF7X. Don't let me put words in your mouth. You tell me. But I think you're going to feel the toe way better here. I think you're going to feel the entirety of the perimeter weight with the 7 more than you do the 8. That's my theory. And I think from there, it's just easier to get it in the spot. You know, and then it becomes a profile thing. Go ahead. What do you need? You see the difference, man?
Yeah, I do.
There's a freeness.
You're gonna have to give me a minute to think about how to word it, though.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. There's a freeness there with him, man. It's more auto. It's set it go, set it go, set it go. And he's just more in the pocket all the way through the zone. It's yeah. You know, that's an interesting way to say it.
See, I feel the exact opposite. I like this.
Yeah. You can move.
Whenever I first grabbed it, it was way whippier almost, it felt like, than the 8, which I'm not against at all, because at the top, I almost have to stop the load, but it's not a bad thing. It's almost like, since I can feel it more, I know where it is, and then I can time it up better.
Yeah. Well, I also want to encourage the crap out of you. This one right here, remember, it's straight in, bro. I'm saying you need to tip it a half. I'm saying let's, I don't want any, I just want you to be able to swing, right? See that one right there? That shot a minute ago with the 8X is almost not playable.
I got you.
That shot there is still piercing. It's 350. And honestly, Rich, I think that's the worst shot you hit with it. It's crazy, the difference.
I'm fine with that.
And I think where it gets real interesting, this is where my brain is. The grip. What if we just bumped those wraps for you? Or heck, I would even be okay with at least engaging in the conversation for the Velvy midsize there. But you see where I'm going with this? What if we just built that grip up a pinch? That way we don't lose really any swing weight to speak of. And then you'll still have the comfortability of the larger grip, but you'll be able to get that thumb where you want it. Make sense? I think it's interesting.
Okay, I know what that was. That was me.
Okay. What do you feel in that situation?
The heel's leading on the way down.
Okay.
Just straight from the top. I can just feel the heel.
Probably because
exposure.
we're talking so many feel things, you're just trying to feel some stuff.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But
Just give me your swing here. Give me a good one. Here's a new one.
that's close to what I was trying to hit.
Yeah, that little peeler off the shorter tee. I like it. Man, I just think that's an important shot for us to have. Let me grab these other tees, bro. You got so much power. It lifts the thing and the tees disappear. What do you think, man? I think we're on to something there.
Yeah. No, definitely.
I just like this idea. And man, I'll tell you, I loved where your heart was on the 8X. I mean, I think that was a really smart try. And I think you have your profile on the button as far as like shaft profile itself. I think the whole theory there is with the 8, you can hold position. Hey, Rich, I don't think that's all you. Remember, I think that's the flex. I think you feel like in your brain that you've got to, what did you say earlier when you said you could feel the extra flex? So you're kind of having to
just let it load.
Yeah, you're having to stop the load. That's what you said. Yeah, I think that's all flex, and I think that's where that shot comes from. I think you're late to the party when you feel like you're having to stop that load, and I think that's why that little angle shift happens, because you're trying to stop the load, so you kind of reroute that angle, and that's where that heel lead comes from.
It feels loose in the left hand.
Exactly.
Which I think is more grip. I can feel the...
You think it's your grip? Okay.
I can feel the butt shifting.
And maybe grip size, huh? Huh? What am I on to there, baby? Connor, do me a favor. Get this guy a grip. Here, get this guy a grip. Get him a velvet standard. Give me 4 wraps on there. I want 4 wraps. 6 is really mid-size. So just give me 4 wraps. All right. So I had Connor go ahead and just clear it out because we kind of got an idea of where we want to go here. So, all right, here's what we have. We've got the VF7X. Now, this is the one that we had not tipped yet, right? This is the straight in one. So this is the one we wanted to see, okay, what happens if we change that grip? So I've got your grip built up. I got 4 wraps on that, okay? And again, we want to just make sure we don't have any crazy feel element changes, that we can still feel the head, we can still feel that toe weight, all the things we want to feel there. And then I've got a couple of wild cards that I want to throw at you. It's not saying that I'm not convinced about the VF. I think that's a great profile for us, but I want to see what happens. I got a good wild card over here. I mean, I can't wait.
I'll take the blame for that. That was on me.
Well, again, we had a little break there, so let's get back in the rhythm here. Good swing.
That felt really good. I know it's right, but
Yeah, but again, that's not that egregious right that we were seeing. And as you know, I mean, in here, right? It's aim point, right? Outside, you're gonna aim that up. I would even tell you, give me the same swing. See, it's perfectly linear. That's the rich swing, by the way. So that's 0.5 out.
see if it'll do that again.
I'm telling you what, dude. That right there is real close. It's just not stiff enough. You tip this one a half, and we got something.
Why do you say that?
Well, I'll tell you what.
Because usually, like the rule of thumb is stiffer goes further right, correct?
Well, yeah, so that's the theory. But for you, what happens is when we feel that extra flex up there, it's that millisecond of you trying to stop that load. So that transition puts you slightly under.
I got you. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does.
And I think it just has to be a little stiffer. We'll test that theory, but it's like, bro, those are 3 in a row. I mean, on top of each other. Do you see what I mean? It's just unbelievable command there.
To be honest, that probably would have been the same, but it was like a touch toe. Not a whole lot, just barely. But.
Yeah. Well, we can see that in the spin there. Yeah, for sure. That's a great pattern.
I mean, it's doing the same thing. We're good with that. Yeah. If you wanted to sell me this, I'd take it just because it's doing the same thing.
Yeah.
I've never been the 12 fairways a day kind of guy. Not necessarily bomb and gouge, but as long as we're not taking penalty strokes, I can get around. Penalty strokes has just been an issue recently, and that just stems from not knowing where it's going to go.
It's total guess.
Yeah.
That was a really good one.
So since that felt really good and it went that far right, I am a little skeptical. But I mean, it's doing the same thing every time. So I mean, we have a good idea, just less right. This, but less right. We're good.
Yeah, I think that's the profile. But I think the flip side to that is it's got to be a little stiffer to keep you in the pocket longer. Okay. Now, we'll test the stiffness theory. So this is my wild card, bro. And I'm jacked up about this one. This is the Diamana 70TX BF. And, you know, as profile goes, we tipped it to be really close. So this will be interesting. I think you were really onto something with that VF, and I think there's a feel element there that you really, really like. There's a smoothness in the tempo there that I love. Again, I just think it's got to be stiffened up just a pinch. All right, there's BF. You got it switched over, different color, good. Yeah, I thought you might. I thought you might.
I like, it feels really similar to like my Paradigm right now, which I mess around with like the head weights to get the head weight where I wanted it to be, but like the shaft doesn't feel heavy or boardy down here. Like it feels light and stiff, but then the head weight counteracts it, so I can really tell where it is.
It really puts the emphasis more on the head weight, doesn't it?
And it has that like, when I say whippy, I don't mean the shaft's whippy. I feel like I can be whippy with it.
Sure.
I feel like I can really.
Still has enough flex at the tip where you're okay. Yeah. And I think the key there is it doesn't make it super weak in the midsection.
I love
That's
that.
the cut I want.
That's my shot.
Yep.
Although I haven't been hitting it, that's
Yeah.
what I like.
But do you see how much tighter that window is?
It's just a tight.
We can hit the little draw, and then we can set up and hit our butter cut. And I agree with you, that's your window.
And I haven't really been like putting draw swings on them. They've all kind of been cut swings. Yeah. But like towards the end, I will like to see how like workable it is with it. So far, this is winning.
I
mean, I don't mind that. It's probably right, because like right now I'm envisioning the center line to be like left edge of fairway.
Got it.
Like my straight miss, if everything goes how it's supposed to go, my left miss is a straight ball.
Okay.
So, and I try to line up down the left side, like as far where my left miss is still fairway. So I'm fine with that. Like 33 offline, that's a normal fairway's 30 yards wide. That's 3 yards.
Well, and the big thing there is, it was only 370 R spin, right? So we're not creating like this wipey spin anymore.
It's just
It's 370.
It's falling right.
It's falling
Which I
right.
like. I don't like rising soft right. I like falling right.
Yeah, it's 370 right spin
Heavy
at
cut.
22.
Heavy cut would be a good way to put it.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
That was low heel, which is why that kind of ballooned.
Now that's the first time I've seen it be a little jumpy.
Like I said, that was low heel.
Okay.
Spin's gonna jump.
That was it.
But since I love this feel with the shaft, and since like I love it because I know where it is, and since I do, I can really quickly correct that low heel. Yeah. Like if I have a shaft and know where it is, I could be hitting that like 8 more times in a row. But with this one, like I know exactly what it was.
Yeah. In other words, you can feel the mistake a little better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, my biggest thing is we're not having to stop the load at the top, right? It's stiff enough to hold you at the top.
Yeah, no, right now the only thing I'm thinking about is path, which
Good,
is
okay.
when I'm swinging good, that's all I think about.
That's what I want. That's what I want. See, it even goes really straight when you do that. That was right on the line, just so everybody knows. That was 0-0 offline.
Okay. But one more.
Okay?
I know what that was.
Yeah, I want to know. Talk to me.
That was just like flaring on the I really don't know how to Just let me fix it.
Okay.
Yeah. This is winning. Winning. First place. Okay. So far.
I love it when a plan comes together. He said, hold on, just shut up. Let me fix it real quick. 360.
Well, I know, I just don't know how to like, I felt what went wrong, and I couldn't tell you exactly what went wrong, but I knew exactly where it went wrong, and I know what right feels like, so I just, but like I said, since I'm really comfortable with that shaft, I can do it. I can fix.
Clinton's fixing dots for us. Now this one here, so the BF hands down was my big wild card that in my brain I was like, oh my God, this is the one.
That was a good job.
Now, this one here
And the grip is really, I love it.
way better, right?
Yes.
So that's the standard with 4 racks.
Mid-size always felt too big under the left hand, but standard, I can feel it wobble.
Okay. If we opened up the fitting book, right? And we said, okay, what should fit Rich? This would be one of the ones that if you had like, you know, the Mizuno shaft optimizer gave you that big shaft matrix, right? After that, this would be at the top of the list, right? By the book. I don't know. We'll see. I think the feel element's interesting. Yeah. That's a really good start.
Just because the tip's more. Yeah.
Yeah, so that one here will give you more of that, you know what? It'll give you more of that perimeter weight feel, if that makes sense, as far as like head activation. So my concern here would be, can we hit the cut on command, right?
Oh yes.
With your
Slice, but I can get it to move right. I don't mind the feel of it at all, but I feel like the tip section's not as consistent. Like the load,
yeah.
I feel like those two swings were not very far off. And it was just all the bottom section turn.
Connor, give me the little thing there. Take me to the table and the club tab. Okay. So Clinton had to fix that dot. So the first one was 0.7. And I think you're hitting the nail right on the head. You said all you want to be able to think about is path. I think now what you have to think about is path, but also that load dynamic. I think we're back to where we were with that VF. We're thinking about the load dynamic. And go ahead and you can get back out of it so we can hit another one. But I think what comes with that, Rich, where I'm going with this is this. I think it takes away the auto swing. Whereas with the BF, you just get up there and swing it. If we have some sort of issue, it'll only be in that takeaway area, right?
All those 3 swings felt the exact same, and one was straight, one was hook, one was slice.
Okay, let's go right back to BF.
And that's just the weaker.
363.
That's just the weaker play at the bottom.
100%.
Am I right about that? Okay.
Yeah, and again, I think where that affects you the most, right? The end result is you manipulate the impact position based on what you fill up here, right? So when it's overloading at the top, right? You're having to, I thought you said it best. You had to stop the load, right? So how does a good player stop the load? Well, they're going to do it one of two places. They're going to do it in the weight shift, right? Or you know, what am I trying to say? The weight distribution, right? They're going to do it there. Or a really good athlete is going to do it there. So that's why we saw left, we saw right, and we saw dead straight. Now, all 3 of those balls, as crows, they're fine. But if you compare the pattern, see the light blue right here? Dude, that's crazy. That's what the BF.
Like,
and then there's our miss.
They're all turning out fine, but like, if that's a fairway, one's in the fairway, one's left, one's right.
Yeah.
Especially if there's like trouble left, which is kind of like what I'm imagining right now. I'm just cutting it off the trouble.
Sure.
All of the BF is fine. They're all playable. They're all fine.
Yeah. And they're predictable.
Yes. And
there's no random left, right? The one left that we had was like 100 RPMs of left spin, and it was on the green complex at 360.
just feels nice. I mean,
Rich, we're done. GT3, Diamana BF, 70TX.
is it straight in? It's straight in, isn't it?
It's straight in.
Yeah. That's awesome.
But it's stiff enough. It's stiff enough in the right places. By the way, not for nothing, I think the perfect Rich swing is kind of that 1 to 0.5, slightly out. It's basically 0-0, right? But I think the best release dynamic comes when we're 0.5 to 1.5 on the outside part of the path, kind of the McElroy-esque type path positioning. And because from there you can just release. You don't have to think as much about other dynamics.
Let me hit daddy draw.
All right, here we go. Just to be clear, did you say daddy draw?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're gonna hook the piss out of it. Is that what we're trying to do?
No, it's just a draw.
Oh.
Which, that was weird. Hold on. I love it though.
There it goes. That's 380. Clinton, that's 380.
It's 370.
370, okay.
Can I see what it does if I go after, like the spin? If I,
You can do anything you want. You're the boss.
because I don't swing harder really. I just take it back further because my swing's gotten shorter where it's only like right there.
Okay.
So if I just get it to parallel, it gets up to like 120, 121. I just want to see if that's gonna balloon, pretty much, yeah.
Love it.
I don't really care where it goes. I just want to look at the spin. Because I only do that whenever I have everywhere to hit it.
That was a bunch. 24 maybe? How'd I do?
That was good. We don't even need to try it. This is good.
I think that's it, bro.
I like it.
That's the Diamana BF70TX GT3. We still have plenty of the perimeter weight feel. We can feel the toe. We can feel the head.
I love, like, even when I'm just sitting here, like, doing my waggles, I'm like, ooh. Like, I can tell it's good.
Well, that's the key, man. I want you setting up in these tournaments, and we're not even thinking, we're just going. And dude, by the way, I think a great swing path thought is, path. Cool. All right. Put it on the path you want it. By the way, that's an A1 neutral setting, and I've got that weight stuck right in the middle.
Not even in the toe.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope. And that swing weight, you know what? I didn't look at it just because I was, prepping shaft, but I want to say we're probably 3 there.
D3?
Yeah. We'll get an exact on that.
Just a low burner cut.
The old low burner cut.
There's a little much cut at his heel. It's not surprising me with the windows it comes out of. Like, none of the normal ones came out like weirdly high or weirdly low.
Yeah.
Everything's where I'm looking.
Just give me your gotta win the golf tournament, fairway swing. But I mean, we gotta bust this one. It's a par 5 finisher. And you see, I think that's where all the power is, guys. If you know, watching this, there's a lot of power in seeing the shot, right? We put that to the test right away. Bang, it's 360 right down the gut on the green complex. Because when we frame it in our brain, Rich, and you got to hear this too. I mean, when you frame it in the brain and we set up and we have the right tool, that's the result. Every single time. All right, man, that's what we're doing.